There's this huge divide between the critic score and the FNAF fans. Now, on the one hand, we have the die-hard FNAF fans who are dying for this film. I'm not kidding. They are treating this like the second coming of Christ. It is the funniest thing ever. And on the other hand, we have the people who like film and who, you know, understand basic film structures. They know how films work and they have a taste in film, who are saying this is the worst abomination that has ever come across the screen. It is the funniest thing ever. It's two completely different sides. It's funny. Now, I obviously just came back from watching it and I have my thoughts on it. I was originally going to make this video prior to watching the film, but I figured it makes more sense for me to watch the film and then make this video. So that's exactly what I went to go do. I just came back from watching it. Let me tell you my thoughts. FNAF 1 was awful. It was one of the worst movies I had seen that year, all year long. It was bad. FNAF fans at that time, their biggest defense was that this film was made for the fans. It was not made for other people. I disagree. I think when you release a film, you're making it for everyone buying the ticket. It's not made for a specific person in mind. It should be made for everyone buying the ticket and going to watch the film. Those are my thoughts on that. With that said, FNAF 1 was just awful as a film. It doesn't work, and I don't think it works as a FNAF film either. I know the FNAF fans are saying it was for the fans. I don't see it. I'm taking the hat off. It wasn't working. I grew up with the original 5 FNAF games. We got FNAF 1, 2, 3, 4, and Sister Location. I grew up with those games. So when I went to go watch Five Nights at Freddy's 1, I felt betrayed almost, because I felt, and I'm into film, by the way. I need to make that clear. I'm both really, really into film, and I really liked the FNAF films, the FNAF games growing up. With that said, I felt like a slap in the face when that film came out, because it felt like everything that we've been waiting for, all we've anticipated for, all the lore behind the games just made this film feel like a kiddie movie. Keep in mind, I'm still talking about FNAF 1. It made it feel like a kid's film. Like, it was a weird way to put, like, it was an introductory to horror for little kids. I don't know how else to put that, but it just felt like a little kid's movie, and it was boring. Like, there was so much dialogue trying to tell you what was happening. It was the whole show don't tell thing, but instead they were doing tell and not showing. It was so boring. There was this plot about Mike getting over his brother and dreaming about it and taking care of his little sister, which I think that can all work. I just think it wasn't structured properly. FNAF 1, I didn't like it. I was very disappointed. Now on to FNAF 2, which I just came back from. So my thoughts are very, very still raw about it. FNAF 2 was far more entertaining than FNAF 1. I was more awake than FNAF 1. Everything that I thought that the first film was going to do, it did it this time. There was elements of like the gameplay from the FNAF 2 games that they incorporated here. They didn't explain it, but they did it, and that's something I wanted to see from FNAF 1. So they did that here, and I was so happy that they did that. And the animatronics just look beautiful. I didn't have an issue with them in the first one. My biggest issue in the first one was that it never felt like animatronics other than Foxy. It always felt like people were just in a costume. Like, it always just felt that way to me. They never moved like animatronics, but they looked beautiful though. They looked exactly like they were in the game, and the same thing about FNAF 2. In FNAF 2, they look exactly the same as they did in the games. They're built so well, and they moved a little bit more like animatronics this time rather than people in costumes, which they were, but they moved better. Now, with all that said, FNAF 2 is a structural mess. It's awful. It's one of the worst movies I've seen all year long, except aside from Wicked for Good. That movie was also awful. I'm hating on two fan bases right now. I'm gonna get hated on just for that one sentence alone. Now, this is the internet, so you're welcome to have your own opinions on all of it, on all of that, everything I just said. You can have your own opinions. The whole point that the original video I wanted to make before watching the film was this: you can like a movie. Nobody is stopping you from enjoying a movie, whether it's good or it's bad. You are allowed to enjoy any kind of movie you want. The problem I had with the biggest discourse that's happening right now around film, which is FNAF, is the lying. You can't lie to yourself and say this was a good movie just because you liked it. Just because you liked the movie doesn't make it a good movie. Now, it could be good to you, but it doesn't make it objectively a good film. Take me, for example. I'm a huge fan of the Amazing Spider-Man series, specifically the Amazing Spider-Man 2. That movie is also a structural mess. There's too many things going on in that film. There's just so much going on that it is bad. It is a bad film, but I like it. I enjoy that movie. I will pay over and over to watch that movie. It doesn't make the movie any better than what it is, though. It is a bad film. It is objectively a bad film, but I enjoy it, and everyone else who does can still enjoy it. But I can't go out and lie to people and say it is a great film. It is so good. Screw the critics. Yeah, it doesn't matter. The critics are right. That movie, there's so much going on in that movie. There's too much going on in that movie. Some things don't even make sense. But guess what? I like it. And I'm allowed to like it. And you're allowed to like FNAF 2. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. You like FNAF 2, that's great. I had a great time watching FNAF 2, as a matter of fact. I wasn't like, this movie sucks. That's how I felt about Wicked, by the way. I wasn't like that watching FNAF 2. As a matter of fact, I was like thoroughly enjoying it. I was thoroughly having a great time seeing the animatronics move, seeing when the FNAF 2 office came in and the movements were happening. I was more awake this time around rather than in FNAF 1, where I was just sleepy the entire time. In FNAF 2, I had a great time watching it. I don't think I'm holding it up to the standards as most FNAF fans are, where it's like, oh, this is the best film ever. This is so great. It's made for I don't think so. I just had a great time watching it. I would probably watch the third act again. Not the whole film, though. But overall, if you enjoyed the film, you enjoyed the film, and that's okay. I think there are people over on Twitter, and I saved some screenshots because I wanted to share these with you guys, that I'm just like, why are you guys lying to yourselves? It's not that great. But if you enjoyed it, you should be allowed to enjoy it. Just don't go lying to yourself and other people saying that the critics are wrong, that this film is great, because it's not. It's not great. It's not good. It's not a structurally, thematically a good film. Like legit, most of the time I had no idea what the hell was going on. I really didn't. Like the movie just kind of happens. Mike is the same character beginning to end. He doesn't grow as a person other than him realizing that Vanessa was lying and that he should probably not be around her. Cool. I don't know why they made Abby the way she is. Like I feel like she's old enough to not want to go back or understand that maturity, comes a part of life, and she shouldn't try to get back with her quote unquote friends. And it's not like she was a loner, by the way. Earlier in the film, they had established that she was telling the story to some of her classmates in a school bus, and some of her classmates were like, do you want to sit down at lunch with us? Do you want to sit at our table with us? Some other kid became friends with her. Like, it's not like she's having trouble making friends, but for some odd reason, they made her this loner child who's strictly attached to the animatronics. Makes no sense to me. The marionette, I felt like they didn't have to do this thing where it's like possessing other people every so often. I think the way the marionette, the puppet looked was awesome, and I felt like they should have continued with that puppet because the way it looked was really cool. And there was a lot of instances where the animatronics just looked so great on screen. I feel like I knew what they were trying to go with this film, and they just didn't deliver. And I feel like that's a lot of the things that the critics were trying to talk about. Honestly, like I said, this film is a big mess. There are just things happening because they need to happen. But if you enjoyed it and you had a good time, that's okay too. You are allowed to like it. You're allowed to love it. You're allowed to taste every aspect of it. You're allowed to lick the animatronics if you need to lick them. You can kiss Chica on the cheek if you need to. But that doesn't make it a great film objectively. And that's the point I was trying to make. Here's one of the tweets that I was talking about. FNAF fans, the movie was fine. Critics, this is the worst movie ever made and a complete disgrace to filmmaking. Whoever directed this, even had one, should be stoned along Scott Cawthon and No. FNAF fans, for starters, are not just going, this movie was fine. No, they weren't. They're not doing that. They're defending this like it's the end of the world. I'm not kidding. They're treating this like the second coming of Christ. Like they are not acting like, it's fine. I'm saying, this movie was fine. No, correction. I'm not. This movie was awful. But I'm not like, this is a disgrace. It's whatever. Five Nights at Freddy's debuts with 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes is wrong. It was better than the first one. It's weird. Like I said, I got entertained more on this one, but I still think it was more of a mess than the first one. The first one, again, the first one was so boring, but at least you can kind of follow along the plot. And this one, I just feel like things are just happening. It was, again, critically, structurally, and as a film, this movie is not as good as the first one. It's more entertaining in that sense, but it's not as good. I feel like there's a complete divide line between having fun with something and finding something good. And I think people are mixing those up as the same thing, which they're not. One thing can be entertaining and not be good, and one thing could be good and not entertaining. So Discussing Film says Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was nothing more than a cynical cash grab that wastes impressive animatronics. The fandom deserves better. I agree, by the way. Quote tweet, which, by the way, contradicts the whole FNAF fans going, the movie was fine. The fandom deserves better? Bitch. I just watched the movie and this is exactly how it should have been made. As a FNAF fan that's been here since the beginning, I am extremely happy fan. So sorry people who aren't in the fandom should not be talking about what we deserve. Disagree. I think that when you release a movie publicly, anyone is allowed to talk about that film the same way anyone's allowed to talk about this video. If I'm releasing it publicly, everyone should be allowed to make their own opinion on it. I think that's just how it works. And as a old-time FNAF fan, I also think the fan base deserves better. I think in a perfect world, FNAF 2, the movie, would have also been a prequel to the FNAF 1 game. I feel like if they follow that structure and wouldn't not be scared to let go of these, famous artists, famous actors, just for the sake of bringing them back for the film, a sequel with a whole new cast, would have been perfect. Would have followed the structure so perfectly. So-called professional critics are a joke as usual. The fan base seems to be more happy with the movie, and I hope Scott will continue catering to the fans and not these nobodies. Again, disagree. I think that it's more disrespectful to the fans that you can make garbage and then the fans eat it up. I feel like that's a different level of disrespect from the studios. Like, we can make anything and these people will buy it. That's messed up. I think, like, as a longtime FNAF fan that you guys call yourselves, you guys should be wanting the best. You guys should be wanting more. I mean, the FNAF movie was greenlit way back in like 2015, 2014 after the first game came out. And to wait so long for something so mediocre is so unfair to everybody that's involved, especially Scott Cawthon. I feel like Scott should have had writers. I know he wanted to like supervise over and make sure that it's done his way, but I feel like somewhere in there should have been a room of writers who have written things before. I don't know. I feel like that's such a dumb, narrow mind of way of seeing things. I feel like FNAF fans should be wanting more and should not be content with what they give you, because if you guys vocalize that, maybe the next one will actually be good. Maybe they will actually listen and want to give you guys something better. And I think everyone would be okay with that. Am I wrong? Am I wrong for thinking that? Okay, this last one, it just made me laugh. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 earned $29.8 million at the domestic opening day, on pace for $56 million opening weekend. It's just a bunch of stats here, but there's this super random stat about diversity. Diversity breakdown: 42% Caucasian, 35% Latino and Hispanic, 11% Black, and 5% Asian American. Why does that matter? Why is that an official like stat here? Why does... Congrats, guys. You guys made it onto the Johnny Block's statistics. Very cool, guys. Overall, my score on FNAF 2 out of 10, I would give it a nice solid 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it. I had a great time seeing the animatronics move. I loved how the FNAF 2 office looked in real life. There's certain things that just don't make sense. Like the light switch is still the shape of the FNAF game one. Practically doesn't make sense for it to exist, but it was cool seeing that it existed. I like how the masking worked. I like the Wither animatronic. I liked how they all look, and I had a lot of fun watching it. I had a great time watching it, as a matter of fact. It was enjoyable for entertainment purposes, but as a film nerd and as someone who loves film, I feel so disrespected that this actually exists, and the fact that this is making money, and I feel like we should be voting with our money and our ticket prices and all of that. Sorry, ticket purchases. I feel like this is one of those movies that should not exist for what it is, and I feel like there was a way better way to make a sequel, and this was not it. If I could rewrite the FNAF movies, I would myself do it, and do it in a way that respects the fans, respects the people buying the tickets, everyone involved. Those are just my thoughts. Everyone's allowed to have different thoughts. Don't be hating on other people because they didn't like the film. If you loved it, I respect that. I just respect it more if you say, hey, you know what? The movie was awful. It was not a good movie, but I loved it. I'm a FNAF fan and I loved it as a FNAF fan, and I feel like this is the kind of movie I needed to watch, but I know it was bad. And in that case, if that's your argument, I can respect that. You know what it is and you know what you enjoy. I like The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's a horrible film. It makes no sense structurally sometimes because there's just too much stuff going on. But I love it. And it's something I'm going to love for the rest of my life. And you should be allowed to love FNAF 2. And you should be allowed to hate FNAF 2. Anyways, that's been it. See ya.